We are 3 days away from a government shutdown, and those usually cause problems at airports across the country because the FAA, which of course is a federal agency, runs the airports. But the FAA could be hit with a double whammy this time around, and that will absolutely impact you if you have any plans to travel. So first, let's talk about the part you probably are already aware of. I've told you in several videos, during a government shutdown, federal employees deemed essential will have to go to work but will not be paid. That includes about 85,000 federal employees like certain FAA workers and TSA agents. Thousands more will be furloughed. Now, during the last government shutdown in 2018 and 2019 during the Trump administration, which stretched out for 35 days, by the end of that, these very same TSA and FAA workers got so fed up with going to work and not being paid that they just started calling out sick. And that started to cause chaos at the airports nationwide. I'm talking long security lines and delayed flights. So depending on how long this shutdown lasts, we could see a repeat of those very same issues. But the other part of this double whammy is the law that authorizes the FAA to even exist is coincidentally scheduled to expire on the very same day as the government shutdown. If it expires, the FAA will lose its legal authority to operate, which would stop airport modernization efforts, funding for equipment, funds for operations, and funds for airline consumer protections. Talk about a cluster. So how does this get fixed? Well, first, Congress needs to find a way to fund the government and avoid a government shutdown. And two, both the House and the Senate need to pass a bill to reauthorize the FAA. The House actually passed a version of that FAA reauthorization with an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote back in July. But the Senate version has stalled out over a fight about pilot training hours and pilot retirement age. Now, I told you in this video last night that a bipartisan group of senators have started to work on a short-term government spending bill called a continuing resolution to do both of these things: temporarily fund the federal government, including the FAA, and temporarily reauthorize the FAA through November 17th. The House Speaker said today he will not even consider that continuing resolution from the Senate and instead wants to see an FAA reauthorization in a bill separate from the government funding bill.